The family of a woman killed in a botched drug raid in January say they believe police aren't giving them the whole story. Now, private investigators for the family of Rhogena Nicholas say new evidence shows the shot that killed her during the raid came from outside the home and from a person who could not have seen her. They also say someone fired 2 shots into an internal wall from extremely close range long after the raid was over.
What we can tell you from the physical evidence and the cell phone recording is that after, at least according to the police narrative, they were dead, somebody fired 2 shots. We also know that there's physical evidence that somebody went inside the house at some point in time and fired 2 shots into a wall from a distance of 1 to 2 inches.
Now, the family says attorneys have also filed a petition with the court. They want to be allowed to take depositions from key high-ranking members of the police department. HPD Chief Art Acevedo released this statement today saying, "We have completed our criminal investigation and are fully cooperating and working collaboratively with the FBI and the Harris County District Attorney's Office as it conducts separate independent investigations in the case." Now, the matter is now in the hands of the District Attorney, the FBI, and the United States Attorney's Office, and further comment would be inappropriate at this time. Joining us from the campaign Justice for the Tuttles is Hai Bu and Kathy Swilly. Glad to have you here on the Fact Around Center. Now, Kathy, I know you used to be an HPD officer.
Yes.
Looking at this case from that perspective, as a former police officer, is there something wrong going on here?
Well, I would say this, Isaiah, with my own case and with other police officers' cases, whenever, yes, to answer your question, because as you know, in my case, there was a lot of fabricated evidence and also in other officers' case. In fact, the Greater Coalition for Justice investigated my case and several other officers' cases. After we reported misconduct, all of our cases there was evidence that was fabricated in our case to silence us. Mr. Atwood wrote a letter to the chief,
Let's get back to the Tuttles. That's what we're here for. When you look at that case, Kathy, what problems do you see?
Well, it appears the same thing that happened when officers reported the misconduct, a cover-up. Bottom line, when Mr. Atwood wrote a letter explaining to the chief that he was concerned with the fabricated evidence in my case and several other officers' cases and requested a meeting with the chief because he was concerned that this type of fabricating evidence was detrimental to the citizens of Houston. 6 months to the date, the Tuttles were killed based on a fabricated affidavit, according to the chief.
Now, how's the family reacting to this, Hai?
It was incredible at the press conference. I get to finally meet John, which is the brother of Rhogena. And I recommend the viewers to watch the streaming part of it was very emotional. His mother is 85, and her dream is to clear the name, her daughter's name.
And what we have in this situation is private investigators, attorneys for the family, uncovering this latest information.
Right.
Has it been corroborated yet with the DA's office or the police department?
From what we know, not yet, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
So what's the next step? What's the next move for the family?
For the family, they just hopefully proceed faster, correct?
Well, they're hoping with the new evidence that has come forward that the investigation will expose, the truth will come out. That's what they want.
Exactly.
They want truth and justice. Mr. Bowie started a movement called We the People, because we firmly believe if we want change, it's going to be up to the people. And we have a rally this Saturday
at 5 p.m. at the Milby Community Center. May I have you the address?
Go ahead.
220 Broadway Street. So we're inviting the community to come out. This is our first official march. The community center is 6 blocks away from the Tuttle's house. So we're going to have a rally from there, walk to the house, and then we have a rally at the home.
Okay.
I think, Isaiah, the biggest problem here is these officers didn't have any fear of consequences of fabricating evidence to a judge, or as in my case and other police officers' cases, to state officials. They just didn't care. And that's a problem. Nobody's safe when you have police officers that can just fabricate evidence and there's no fear of consequences.
Now, is justice moving slowly here when it comes to many of the officers involved being charged? We've seen terminations, suspensions, but no criminal charges as of yet.
I haven't seen any terminations related to this case yet. I think 2 officers are retired, but I haven't seen any suspensions or termination.
But is justice moving slow with it?
Justice sometimes always moves slow. You know, I think maybe if the chief had investigated Mr. Atwood's concern, maybe the totals would be alive. I don't know. But what I do know is anytime a chief has been advised of police misconduct, it should be investigated.
Okay, and when we talk about your case, though, we're talking about a different chief.
It doesn't matter. A chief is a chief, and he worked for the citizens of Houston. And when
But I don't want to get the viewers confused that it was this chief. It was a previous chief with your case when you were terminated.
It does not matter.
Okay.
If a chief is told of police misconduct, it is his duty to the citizens of Houston to investigate that police officer.
You're absolutely right, but it's
misconduct.
important to identify the correct chief that you're talking about to the viewer.
No, this chief was also told of the misconduct in several police officers' cases. And Mr. Atwood warned him that this type of misconduct at that level involving so many officers that it was detrimental to the citizens of Houston. Because if they could falsify police officers' records, they could do the same thing for citizens. And as I stated, 6 months to the day, the totals were killed based on a fabricated affidavit to obtain a search warrant. According to the police chief, he stated that the officer lied in a sworn affidavit to obtain that search warrant.
So we're going to have to follow up on this out of time. Kathy, good seeing you.